Hey guys, welcome to week 4 of Project Unicorn. This week I want to talk a little bit about the high level, why I'm building this particular project. I know we touched on it in week 1 a little bit, but just want to go a little bit deeper. The reason I'm building this project in the first place is it's a reflection of what I do in my everyday life anyway. Whether I'm with my friends or meeting someone new or hanging out with family, I love asking questions. I love asking hypotheticals. I love seeing how people think. And I love hearing opinions. I love people who are outspoken about their opinion, even if they strongly disagree with me. I love getting that all out there on the table, having these conversations about a bunch of different topics. Can be academic topics, can be totally entertainment-based topics. Doesn't matter. Just the fact that we're getting together, having these conversations, expressing our opinions, hearing other opinions. I love that, and I don't feel like there was that. There was a place to do that online. There were a lot of places where you could, text and type back and forth to each other and converse that way. But we talked about it before. A lot gets lost in text. How do you create this feeling of somebody being able to express their opinion and you getting like 100% fidelity of their response, their facial expressions, their tone, all of that? How do you create that in a way that can, serve many people? Obviously, if I'm just on a call with someone or FaceTime with someone, I can go back and forth and talk like this. In person, obviously, you just do it like that. But online, how do you create that? And so the whole project has been this kind of formation of a forum, a video-based forum. And so, I love expressing my opinion. I love hearing what other people have to say, how they think. And I think it's an opportunity to bring that to everyone, where we can all kind of join this one place and talk about the topics that are most important to us. This ties in well to, who is outspoken for. It's for, in a way, people like me, people who are outspoken, people who need to share their opinion. Also, I guess a more subtle point is people who are better expressing themselves verbally than they are in a written form. I consider myself a good writer, but I don't think writing can capture tone and nuance and context like a video can. And so I feel like video is the ultimate form of expression. I can't BS you here. You're gonna see it in my face, you're gonna hear it in my tone. All of this is raw and real, and I feel like the only way to capture that is this format. And so outspoken is for people who, in a way, are comfortable, obviously, on camera, but at the same time, it's, you have a broad interest of topics. Anybody who knows me, like I said, knows I'm interested in sports, technology, pop culture, on and on down lists, seemingly, different subjects that you wouldn't all talk about in one setting, but I'm interested in a bunch of different things. I would imagine a lot of people are. And so how do we bring these people together, talking about a bunch of different things in a format that's authentic? I think Outspoken's doing that. So one thing we haven't talked about in these 4 weeks is the practical side of how do you support yourself during all this? It's great that you're learning all these skills. It's great that you're putting yourself out there and trying to, build a company. But I just can't do that. I don't have, all these savings to live off of or what have you. I work a job right now. I have a day job as a sales director. It pays my bills. It, keeps me afloat, allows me to save as well. I do that during the day, and I work on Outspoken nights and weekends. Is it difficult? Sure, but it's more so a challenge in time management and focus than anything else. Certainly not impossible. Many people have done it. I'm far from the only one. I guess I'm just here to say that even if you're in a position like me where you had to learn all these skills from scratch and you have a job and you have, I thankfully don't have at this point a full family and kids to support, but even if you're in that position, it is possible. It's definitely possible. You have to be really good, like I said, with time management and with focus. So when you sit down to work, it's only about what you're working on. but yeah, it's possible to get by. When you're starting out, it might be better to hold a job and do something on the side. You'll have more peace of mind. You won't have the rush to just get something done quickly. Some people need that urgency. I find that I work better when I know my money is taken care of and I can just focus on my work. And so, yeah, that's how I take the practical, handle the practical side of this. Um, and I encourage anybody, even if you're working a day job, even if you are deep into your career, if you have a project that you feel passionate about, or an idea, or anything you want to build that you feel strongly about, don't let time or, you know, other priorities or schedule, don't let any of that get in the way of it. If you believe in it, if you believe that it's worth putting out there, it will take effort, but you're going to become a stronger person in the process. I've become a much better time manager. I've gotten better with my focus. I can get a lot more done in any given day because I put myself in a position where I kind of have to. I only can work on this stuff at night or on weekends, and so I'm not going to let a day go by without putting the work in. And I think over time that eventually pays off. All right, so what was I able to get done this week? First thing I wanted to get done was set up the basic framework for the composable architecture. I was able to do that. And even though this basic setup was, took a little bit of time to do, definitely can see how it's going to pay off. A lot easier to see where my code is. It's not one big clumped together spaghetti code. Going to be easier to debug, going to be easier to add features. And yeah, I think it's a strong foundation, and definitely, so far worth the extra time. Second thing is becoming more familiar with Git. Was able to do that this week. Learned how to work out of a different branch. For those of you who don't know, essentially if you have a version of your app and you want to play around with a new feature, kind of add that in, you can do that, work on that out of a separate branch, and then you can always revert back to the original branch if you don't like your changes or you just want to go back to how it was. And then the last thing, Wildcard, left it open this week. Actually started using a tool that had been hearing a lot about, but never tried myself until this week. And it is one of the best non-technical tools, and really tools period, that I've picked up in a long time. And it's called Notion. And what it is really, it allows you to log information in whatever way you store that information mentally. What I mean by that, I'm a big note taker. Anybody who knows me knows I love taking notes. I love making lists. But lists and notes aren't always the right format of information storage. Sometimes you need a spreadsheet. Sometimes you need, it's easier to represent something with a chart or just a photo. Information, can and should be presented differently. And what Notion does an incredible job of is allowing you to create kind of these, it gives you basically a blank canvas, and you can fill that with all different types of, like I said, lists. You can add databases, you could add single columns, you can split it up, you can add photos. It's really, even as I'm explaining it, I'm underselling it. I honestly would recommend anybody check it out. It's super useful. But I guess why it's useful is it helps organize all my information. I was working out of Notes, Google Docs, had some things on Evernote, just so many different places that I had information. And what this does, I had a to-do list that was separate from my notes. I had an app for that. And what this does is centralize all of that. And even beyond that, because it centralizes it all, it allows you to kind of group things in a way that makes sense. Not necessarily just the format that you're restricted to with your notes app or what have you. So yeah, I think it's a big productivity helper. And yeah, I'm generally not even really big on like productivity tools. I think at a certain point it's like nutritional supplements, like maybe they'll help you the extra 5%, but if you're worried about it too much, that's you're focused on the wrong thing. In this case, though, I will say it's an incredibly useful tool. Yeah, I'd recommend checking it out. So added that and found it's a lot easier, even in terms of how I'm setting up the product roadmap. Easy to see exactly how. That's another thing. You can have your boards on there, where you can kind of see how things progress, and you can have your information laid out in a board format with different stages that you kind of progress through. Anyway, that was this week. All right, so what am I going to get done this week? Well, first I have the template for topic detail in place. So basically, what that is, it will show you who created a particular topic, their information at the top, what the topic is, and then underneath there will be kind of a list of everybody who replied to that topic. So the frame is in place. What I'm going to do this week is add in the actions, add in any dependencies into the environment, like actually fetching the clips for each topic. So that's the first thing I'm going to get done, the topic detail page. Second thing is going to be promotion and distribution. Starting to think of how do we get the first 5, 10, 50, 100 users. The first 10 or 15 are kind of easy to think about. That's the people around you. But once you get past that, it's how do you expand? That's really a problem, I think, that's universal amongst software startups is distribution, especially for a product that's free. That's especially difficult because you're not going to be able to spend on distribution. It's not scalable. You're going to have something that is inherently viral. And so thinking through not necessarily growth hacks. You can't hack your way to retention, which is important to note. So one thing to kind of point out, it's one thing to grow really fast, but the most important thing when it comes to building any type of product is how well do you retain? How well, 6 months later, a year later, are the customers still using it? Are the users still using it? Because if not, then what was really the point of getting them on, or spending all the money to get them on, or spending all the time to get them on in the first place? And so, at its core, you need an absolutely great product. That's the one thing that every great company has in common. You can't get by without a great product. A product that, and by great, I don't mean it has to be beautiful or even necessarily easy to use, but it has to satisfy the needs of the user by definition. Otherwise, it wouldn't be successful. So, product is key. But once you have that, you need to be able to distribute it. And you have to get it to enough people. Now, it's far more important that a small number of people, are super passionate about it than just getting a bunch of people kind of, I'll try it. So I am more focused on really passionate people who I think it's going to be perfect for. And so I'll start, subreddits that make sense. I'll start showing things there. People who follow me on Twitter will see me post about it. But essentially, starting to think about that distribution engine and how we're gonna, get the word out once we want people on. Anyway, I will update you next week. Follow, subscribe, leave a comment. I'll check in with you guys next week.